Imagine preventing a type of cancer before it ever begins. Every year, hundreds of thousands of people around the world are diagnosed with cancers linked to the human papillomavirus, commonly known as HPV. Yet many of these cases could be prevented through vaccination. Unfortunately, there is still a lot of confusion surrounding the HPV vaccine. Some people worry about safety, others believe it is only for girls. Some think it encourages risky behavior. But what does the science actually say? Let's start with the basics. HPV, or human papillomavirus, is one of the most common sexually transmitted infections in the world. According to the World Health Organization, most sexually active people will be infected with HPV at some point in their lives. In fact, experts estimate that more than 80% of sexually active individuals will contract HPV during their lifetime. Now, hearing that might sound alarming, but here's the important thing. Most HPV infections clear on their own without causing any symptoms or health problems. However, certain high-risk strains can persist in the body and eventually lead to cancer. There are more than 200 types of HPV. Some cause harmless skin warts, others cause genital warts, and a small group of high-risk HPV types are responsible for several forms of cancer. The most dangerous strains are HPV-16 and HPV-18. Together, these two strains are responsible for approximately 70% of cervical cancer cases worldwide. Let's look at the numbers. Cervical cancer is the fourth most common cancer among women worldwide. According to the World Health Organization, more than 660,000 new cases of cervical cancer occur every year. More than 350,000 women die from cervical cancer annually. Nearly 95% of cervical cancer cases are caused by persistent HPV infection. These numbers represent real people: mothers, daughters, sisters, friends. Many of these deaths occur in low- and middle-income countries where screening programs and treatment options are limited. The tragedy is that cervical cancer is one of the most preventable cancers in medicine, and one of the most powerful tools for prevention is vaccination. So what is the HPV vaccine? The HPV vaccine is designed to protect against the most dangerous HPV strains before a person becomes infected. The vaccine does not contain live virus. It cannot cause HPV infection. Instead, it teaches the immune system how to recognize and fight the virus if exposure occurs in the future. Think of it like giving your immune system a wanted poster of the virus. When the real virus appears, the body is already prepared to defend itself. Today's most widely used HPV vaccine protects against multiple HPV strains, including those responsible for most HPV-related cancers and genital warts. So, how effective is the HPV vaccine? This is where things get impressive. Research from multiple countries has shown remarkable results. In countries with high vaccination rates, HPV infections have dropped by more than 80% among vaccinated groups. Precancerous cervical lesions have declined significantly. Genital wart cases have fallen dramatically. A large international review involving millions of participants found an 83% reduction in HPV infections among teenage girls, a 51% reduction in HPV infections among young women, significant decreases in cervical abnormalities that can lead to cancer. These findings demonstrate that the vaccine is not just working in laboratories, it's working in real communities around the world. Who are those who should get the HPV vaccine? One of the most common questions is, who should receive the HPV vaccine? Health authorities recommend routine vaccination before exposure to HPV occurs. This is why the vaccine is usually recommended for children between ages 9 and 14. Vaccinating before sexual activity begins provides the strongest protection. However, older teenagers and adults who missed vaccination may still benefit. The vaccine is recommended for both girls and boys. Many people mistakenly believe HPV only affects women. That is not true. Men can develop HPV-related cancers too, including cancers of the throat, anus, and penis. Vaccinating boys also helps reduce the spread of HPV within the population. Does the HPV vaccine cause infertility? One of the biggest myths surrounding the HPV vaccine is that it causes infertility. Scientific studies involving millions of vaccine recipients have found no evidence that the HPV vaccine causes infertility. In fact, preventing cervical cancer may help protect future fertility because treatments for cervical cancer can sometimes affect a woman's ability to become pregnant. The vaccine protects reproductive health rather than harming it. In case you are worried whether the HPV vaccine is safe or not, safety is one of the most studied aspects of the HPV vaccine. Since its introduction, hundreds of millions of doses have been administered worldwide. Organizations such as the World Health Organization, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the American Cancer Society, continue to support HPV vaccination because of its strong safety record. Most side effects are mild and temporary. These may include pain at the injection site, mild fever, headache, fatigue, dizziness. Serious side effects are extremely rare. The benefits of preventing cancer far outweigh the small risk of side effects for most people. Consider this real-life story. Imagine a young woman named Sarah. At age 12, she received the HPV vaccine as part of a school vaccination program. Years later, routine screening showed no evidence of HPV infection. Her risk of developing cervical cancer was dramatically reduced because of a decision made years earlier. Now imagine another woman who never received the vaccine and later develops persistent HPV infection, leading to cervical abnormalities requiring surgery. These stories illustrate why prevention is so powerful. Often, the best medical treatment is preventing the disease from occurring in the first place. Some common questions about the HPV vaccine. Can vaccinated people still get HPV? Yes. The vaccine does not protect against every HPV type. However, it protects against the strains most likely to cause cancer and genital warts. Do vaccinated women still need cervical screening? Absolutely. Regular cervical screening remains important even after vaccination. Can adults still benefit from vaccination? Yes. Although the greatest benefit occurs before exposure, some adults may still receive protection depending on age and risk factors. Does the vaccine encourage sexual activity? Research has repeatedly shown no evidence that HPV vaccination increases sexual activity or risky behavior. The vaccine is about disease prevention, not behavior. About the future of cervical cancer prevention. Public health experts believe we are entering a new era. The World Health Organization has launched a global strategy to eliminate cervical cancer as a public health problem. The strategy focuses on HPV vaccination, regular screening, early treatment. If these goals are achieved, millions of lives could be saved in the coming decades. This would represent one of the greatest cancer prevention successes in medical history. The HPV vaccine is one of the most important advances in modern preventive medicine. It protects against infections that cause several cancers and genital warts. Scientific evidence shows that it is effective, safe, and capable of saving countless lives. The decision to vaccinate is ultimately personal, but it should always be based on facts rather than fear. Because when it comes to cancer prevention, knowledge truly is power. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs this information. Subscribe to All About Health for more evidence-based health education videos.